fast food restaurants would be healthy if they made this one simple change. Hello and welcome to the channel. Not very surprisingly, I am an advocate for health. It's not only my job, I also enjoy it. When a patient of mine bursts into my office and declares that they feel better than before. Now, in some cases, this newfound sense of good health is related to a shaking off of chronic inflammation of some sort, a joint disease like arthritis, a bowel inflammation condition like Crohn's disease, a cancer where the oncologist, cancer specialist, has decreed a remission. Much of good health, whatever the starting point of each individual, comes from diet. If you are considering losing weight and you think exercise alone will do it, a good adage to remember is, you can't outrun a bad diet. The saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, is a great reminder that diet is very important. Although I probably wouldn't pick an apple as the food item to use in this advice. I'll explain why later in the video. There are worse pieces of advice, however, that over the years are slowly being debunked. One example is, breakfast is the main, most important meal of the day. This is not really true, or rather, it is only partially true. This slogan came from exactly that, a slogan, an advertising slogan to be exact, by a breakfast cereal company. Yes, the Kellogg Company, cornflakes. Why are cornflakes not the most healthy foods ever? I'll tell you why not. They are processed carbohydrates. The whole grain of corn has been refined so much that the good fiber has been taken out, and you are left with the part which is not nutritionally useful for your body, but which nonetheless will leave you with excess calories and constipation to boot. You can, of course, increase the nutritional value of cornflakes by adding bran or fiber of any sort, including fresh fruit. Actually, not dried fruit, whose glycemic index or sugar content is higher than fresh fruit, by the way. So yes, sliced apple in this case is better than raisins. But in general, fruit as a healthy diet is kind of questionable just because of the sugar content. But anyway, I digress. It is not really the case that breakfast is bad for you. That is not what I am saying. I have a problem with breakfast in general for several reasons, though, and I think they are all scientifically sound. Having said that, I would appreciate a counter theory to mine in the comment section below. One big problem I have with breakfast is to do with my own country. I shall get to that in a minute, but first I shall deal with my other hang-ups about breakfast. My first hang-up is about timing. We eat breakfast as soon as we wake up to literally break our overnight fast, assuming we've been sleeping all night, of course. The problem with this is that we don't leave enough time for our overnight fast to take effect and passively burn calories that we have previously consumed. As soon as our daily activities begin, we add to the calorie pile, limiting the body's capacity for fat burning. If we just delayed our so-called breakfast, breaking of the fast, a little bit, by let's say 2 to 3 hours, our collective weight loss would be game on. I guarantee you. But then it wouldn't be called breakfast anymore, I guess. It would be more like a brunch. But so be it. Another problem I have with breakfast is that it is often sugar-laden, either in of itself or with additional cups of tea, coffee, or some other hot drink, often with added sugar. In general, it is the most sugar-laden meal of the day, which means we start the day with already an excess of sugar in our bodies. Sugar consumption is the fastest route to inflammatory and chronic illnesses. The evidence is piling up on this topic. Perhaps I shall discuss this specific topic in another video, but that's for another day. Most cereals, oatmeals, manioc, millet, what have you, that are consumed all over the world usually require an addition of milk and sugar to them. The problem with all of this is that we are adding sugar to a processed carbohydrate, which to me is a lethal combination. So no, I'm not a fan of so-called continental breakfast. In some cultures, of course, the first meal of the day is not a sweet meal, like in continental Europe or in the USA, or in the West in general. It is a meal like any other. Depending on the type of meal it is, I could be a fan, or not, as the case may be. It is pretty simple for me. If it is a carbohydrate-heavy meal, then it's a no-no for me. The one exception is if it is fermented carbohydrate. I often talk about fermented foods and why they are healthy, for example, in this video here. Again, perhaps more about that in a future video if the demand is there. Let me know in the comment section, please. As promised, I shall now touch on my biggest problem with breakfast, and specifically what we call an English breakfast. Of course, the English breakfast is a variation on the normal meal being eaten in the morning as breakfast, but which really belongs to later in the day. This is what I mean by an English breakfast. In my previous life as a cardiologist, we called this a heart attack on a plate, or the Widowmaker meal. Now, everyone instinctively knows that the English breakfast is not the healthiest of breakfast choices. But I am not certain that the right reason why it is not healthy is being bandied about. This is in fact my motivation for this video. I think if most people were asked why the English breakfast were unhealthy, they would respond, because the various components are mostly fried. They are products of greasy spoon eateries. Now, this is intrinsically correct, in my opinion, but it kind of depends. Considering the meal that is currently on the screen, if we were to poach the eggs, toast the bread, air fry the bacon, sausages and mushrooms, I still think it would be an unhealthy meal. Am I just hard to please in the culinary sense? Maybe. I do think that the type of oil used to fry a meal makes a huge difference to the health of that meal. The only oils I would encourage anyone to use for cooking or other meal preparation are olive oil, and the more virgin the better. And again, I can delve closer into why in a future video. Avocado oil, I don't think it is widely known that this exists, but it does. And coconut oil. I add this to the list because there is a slight controversy as to whether coconut oil is good or bad for you. I add it anyway because I think it depends on how it is extracted. There is a good way and a bad way to extract coconut oil, apparently. Notice what is not on this list, on this healthy oil list, and that is vegetable oil, canola oil, sunflower oil. Basically, if it is not a nut or food item that is a natural source of oil, don't touch it. There is a lot of evidence that artificial products of the petroleum industry, are added to non-natural oils and sold cheaply to the public as cooking oil. Don't consume that stuff. Stick with nuts or foods that are already full of oil. A slight caution about olive oil. At high temperatures, it's perhaps best avoided. This is because the smoke point of olive oil, the temperature at which it breaks down and smokes, is a little lower than for other oils. But you can increase this temperature if you use extra virgin olive oil. But even so, avoid very high temperatures when cooking with it. Otherwise, hands down, it's the most healthy oil to consume. As part of the so-called Mediterranean diet. The reason our English breakfast is still unhealthy once we eliminate the oil altogether, in my opinion, is the bread and hash browns. Unless you are eating wholemeal bread full of fiber with your eggs and baked beans and mushrooms, etc., and you substitute your hash browns with wedge sweet potatoes, or better yet, nothing at all, then you are reducing the nutritional value of your meal. The processed carbs have to go. They increase your craving for more carbs, and they are basically empty calories with no actual nutritional value for your body. Eliminate the white bread and you actually have quite a healthy meal full of protein and vegetables and fiber. By the same token, if fast food restaurants would just eliminate the bread of burgers and substitute it with, say, crunchy lettuce leaves or boiled zucchinis, or even better, nothing at all, there would be healthy places to eat, actually. If no flour were added to chicken to create chicken nuggets, and instead the natural chicken were to be grilled or air-fried, they would be healthy. If no potato chips or fries were offered as a side dish, only salad, or with variations of different vegetables, the meal would be healthy. All it takes for fast food restaurants to be healthy places to eat is for them to eliminate processed carbs from their menu, and overnight the obesity rate worldwide would start to decline, even without the added benefit of exercise. It all starts with a diet. With that one move, we would start to address the obesity crisis. The next step, of course, would be the elimination of sugary drinks. But I mustn't get ahead of myself here. One tiny little step at a time. What do you think? Would your local fast food eatery be amenable to this little change? Would customers be willing to try a little something different? Would they vote with their feet and walk right out? Can we blame the food industry for feeding us unhealthy but tasty food? Is it a chicken and egg situation, the supply and demand equation with regard to the gastronomic industry? Pun intended, of course. Whatever your views and thoughts, I would love to hear them. Any questions, you know what to do. Askadoc.